we're speaking, I just shared that Stratosphere dashboard. Google was down another 6% today, I think. So it's not just like a bunch of hubbub. The market's kind of reacting to it as well. I want to, let's see, they're down well off 10% from their since this news dropped. Basically, Microsoft put out this press release saying that they have reinvented Bing. Coincidentally, this is kind of interesting because we just did our Google episode. If you want to learn more about it, we're actually Google shareholders, so I'll just disclose that right now. I might sound biased, but basically they mentioned that they're reinventing Bing, and they're combining it with OpenAI, or I think the parent company of Chat GPT, which they have like a 50% ownership in, and basically it's going to have sort of Chat GPT functionality alongside the Bing search experience. It says we have brought together search, browsing, and chat into one unified experience you can invoke from anywhere on the web, delivering like more comprehensive answers alongside the actual search results. So there's a bunch of examples that you can go see if you go look it up, like type in, sports games or whatever, it'll give you something. It'll give like a Chat GPT answer on the side. And then a bunch of like typical search results. But to be honest, this is what Google already does.
Yeah. Hey,
Basically.
let's not lead yourself into the question here. Let's try to play a little devil's advocate why Microsoft can win. Does this look, we're no AI experts, but do these things provide more value to a search engine? I think that's the core question people should ask. And then the next one is, does it add to the search queries? So does it like add new search queries that people will make, or is it going to steal market share from the existing search queries, which would potentially impact Google's bottom line, as they might serve ads on less of them? There's also other questions that you go down many different scenarios about, will they actually start serving ads within these queries? Again, but Ryan, what do you think? Does this enhance the value of search? I say yes. I think it's pretty clear it does, although I don't know if it's as revolutionary as people say.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to go as like, I don't want to omit like risks. Like, I don't want to say like, oh, this is, who cares? Just keep buying Google. It just to me kind of feels like this is partly integrated in the existing search experience for Google. I think it does enhance the value to have like the option to have like a full-blown, more comprehensive answer to something that feels like you're speaking to a person. I don't know if that's now. I'm not saying that that's going to drive everyone to Bing. Bing has been growing share on PC for a while, for at least in the recent years. However, what I would be more concerned about, gosh, I can't find it, but basically there was this, oh, here we go. There was a quote from Satya Nadella that essentially said they don't care if they lose a bunch of money doing this. They're going to go after, the search market, but I'm trying to find it.
No, that's exact. Yeah, it was thrown around on Twitter and the news
Oh, got
sites
it.
a lot. Yeah, I mean that's exactly what he said, right? Yeah.
He says, from now on, the gross margin of search is going to drop forever. There is margin in search, which for us is incremental. For Google, it's not. They have to defend it all. My concern really beyond, like, I think they will probably gain some share over time in PC because they have the infrastructure. They own the hardware. They own the operating system of a lot of basically a bunch of new PCs that are sold with their Windows OS. So it's easy for them to kind of play as the default. But
which is funny. They got in trouble with that in the past with Netscape. So I wonder, is
I
it
know it's kind of ironic.
anti-competitive? But all what's funny is, I'll let you keep going. But all the companies within the sphere, Apple, Alphabet, Microsoft, could all threaten each other with anti-competitive stuff. but then I think that would bring up the anti-competitive stuff that they're doing. So everyone's being anti-competitive, but so they don't want to accuse anyone of anything. But continue.
Yeah, my concern is that Microsoft bids a ridiculous amount to power the Apple Safari search because
Yeah.
Google really does own the mobile search. They have more than 90% share there, basically predominantly because they have Android, so they're the default search on Android, which has most of the mobile smartphones in the world. But they also power Safari on the iPhone. So
Or they're just the default. I mean, people can go search Bing. It's not blocked, but they're the
yeah,
default search engine.
but they pay I think it's what, $15 billion for that.
It's estimated
Rumored.
could be 20. Yeah, I think with the renegotiation, whenever that is, we don't have the info. It probably will be $20 billion now because Apple grows their devices steadily each year.
Yeah, my concern is that they start to just hemorrhage money for that. The thing is, I still don't think that's the end of the world for Google. Yes, I mean, obviously pressure and search and market share losses would hurt them, but for one, I don't necessarily see it happening. I think Google already has a lot of this functionality. I think it also gets blown up in the finance universe. Like Bing's going after this. The typical consumer does not know. The typical consumer doesn't care. They don't follow Satya Nadella on Twitter. They don't.
That's right. Yeah.
They don't like check Microsoft's press releases every day. They just
Yeah.
go in and they log into Google Chrome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And back in and I don't think Microsoft Bing was around for the entirety of the early 2000s, but back within, before Google kind of had their own platform advantage with Android and to some extent Chrome, I guess you could argue with it in that they won through execution and adding on these free services around everything. I think I would be concerned, yeah, if Bing got it'd be something to watch for sure if Bing got the license from Apple. But what would really concern me is if somehow, and this is just a total hypothetical, Apple's own services, which they've been copying Google to some extent with Maps, some of the other stuff, iCloud, whatever, and they were somehow combined with Bing, because I think what gives Google a bit of a moat, and again, we don't need to talk about this forever on this show because we just discussed that on our not so deep dive from earlier this week. It's not just the search, it's the search plus Maps plus YouTube plus Gmail plus Google Workspace, Space plus Google Pay plus whatever. So it's almost like they have the best of Microsoft with Android plus Chrome plus the search engine. So they have kind of the operating system. Then also they have the Apple stuff as well. So I'd be worried if somehow those were combined, but without Microsoft Bing having a lot of those other services, except for of course Office 365, but you have to pay for it. So the market share is much, much lower. There's billions of users on Google Workspace plus Gmail versus Office 365. We just looked at them. What is it, like 100 million subscribers, something like that? So yeah, sizable base, but still it's not going to affect kind of the way you operate the search market where you add on these products around it that are free. But either way, it'll be interesting to follow. I think yeah, it's not as, I mean, it's not something to just stick your nose at and say like, oh, this is dumb, because it's obviously not dumb. It's cool technology, but I see no reason why this doesn't become a commodity, sort of like voice tech, where you have enough resources, you have enough skilled AI developers, you can build this chat bot that's plenty good. And just because Google has the distribution, I think they're going to win once they launch this thing. Yeah, that the demonstration had a slightly wrong answer, but Chat GPT, if anyone's aware, has wrong answers constantly. So I don't think that means that Google's worse at this.
No, we have a comment here. Says a wonderful business with a strong moat does not need to invest excessively in other bets that burn capital. I feel Google just isn't a wonderful business, even though price maybe is fair.
Yeah, I disagree with that because they're separate. They're separate. Other bets are not. tied to the business at all. In fact, that's why they changed it to Alphabet. I mean, Waymo has no association with whatchamacallit.
Yeah,
You know, that the DeepMind, I guess, connects with it a bit, but you also have like that biosciences startup that is in no way connected with Google. That's why they're under the Alphabet umbrella.
yeah. Just to be clear, like I appreciate the comment, and yes, they do burn money in there, but I would disagree that they have to burn money in other bets. I think they choose to burn money. I think any business, if you look at this, I'm showing a chart here, free cash flow per share over the last 20 years has compounded at 20% a year. To say
Along
it is,
with other bets hemorrhaging money.
yeah, an increasing amount of money being hemorrhaged. So I think, no, I disagree. I think Google search is an absolutely wonderful business. I think YouTube's a wonderful business. And I think their ecosystems now complement each other extremely well. Android is maybe not that wonderful in selling the hardware, but it's a great addition to the ecosystem because it leads so many people to Google. So I think the other bets, don't get me wrong, other bets irks me. I think Google spends a ridiculous amount of money on stuff they don't need to.
Like
If I'm
life sciences stuff.
their
when
last
you're when you're
layoff round, their last layoff round laid off what, 27 masseuses. So I think, yeah, there's probably some excess costs and they hire more than they need, but no, I think the core business is probably one of the best digital businesses of all time.
Oh yeah,
Um,
there's things to be worried about with Google and slash Alphabet, however you want to call them. But on the top of my list, I don't think. And look, whatever. I could cold. This could be a cold take 3 years from now. On the top of my list is not Chat GPT. Higher on my list is Apple, TikTok, Instagram, taking share, along with operating expenses, plain and simple.
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. This, I know it seems so easy to just scoff at like, oh, whatever, like this isn't gonna hurt Google. But I think the voice technology taking over search was probably sounded just as compelling
Oh,
when
remember that? Yeah, I mean, both of us got caught. Everyone got caught in that hype. Remember that? They're like, you're gonna get an Alexa, and it's gonna power your house, and you're not gonna search with a button anymore. You're gonna do it through voice. Now, this tech might be better than the voice tech that Amazon had at Alexa, but I still think it's similar. Last thing I have on this, when Nadella slash Microsoft says that basically they said basically copied Bezos and said your margin is my opportunity. I wouldn't have that been their same mentality in 2009 when they launched Bing. I think it would have, and yet they still lost with, at the time, the operating system advantage. So look, maybe Alphabet slash Google was a better, more agile business back then, but I still think, look, they've been investing since in DeepMind for a decade. I think they'll be okay.